It's like, yeah.
All right, it's 7 p.m. on March 16, 2026. We're going to begin this regular meeting of the Rutherford Board of Education. We'll ask everyone to please stand, face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask Mr. Whitford to please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Present.
Ms. Cates?
Here.
Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Conti?
Present.
Mr. Healy?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Dr. Racine?
Here.
Mr. Sprayberry?
Present.
Dr. Lottie?
Here.
Ms. Iorio?
Here.
You have a quorum.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Rutherford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted on the bulletin board outside the Borough Clerk's office, mailed to the Herald, South Bergenite, and the Record newspapers, and filed with the Borough Clerk. Hard copies of the agenda are available in the meeting room, and the agenda is posted electronically on Friday before the meeting date on the district's website at www.rutherfordschools.org. Subsequent to the meeting, a video of the meeting will be uploaded to the district's website, www.rutherfordschools.org. The video link can be found by opening the Board of Education link and clicking on Public Meetings and then Videos. So board members, in your packets, there were minutes to approve from the regular meeting and executive session for February 23rd, 2026. Any questions or comments about those sets of minutes? Hearing none, I'll ask Mr. Whitford to please enter those. And we are going to begin with the report of the student representative, Ms. Ario.
Good evening. Winter sports ended on a high note with lots of accomplishments, and spring sports are starting up this week. All of the spring athletes are busy preparing for their seasons and getting ready for their first games. The Consumer Bowl team won the county competition, and up next is the Northern Regional competition at the end of April. Read Across Rutherford Day was very successful. The high school students had a great time reading and interacting with the elementary students, and the little kids seemed to really enjoy the activities. Many of the elementary students also had the chance to ask the high schoolers some questions about high school life. Many RHS students also participated in the Battle of the Bulldogs volleyball tournament earlier in the month. This is always a fun event and a chance for some friendly competition between students and staff. The spring musical Footloose was this past weekend. All of the cast and crew did an amazing job putting it together and had a great time performing the show all weekend. Last week, RHS hosted a career fair for students to gain some insight into some of the vocational career paths that are available after high school. Students had the chance to talk with representatives from all different organizations and learn a little bit about what they do. Coming up next week is our biggest Spirit Week at the high school. Each day is a different theme, and each grade has their own category to dress up as. Some of our themes this year are holidays, careers, and states. Each grade earns points based on how many students dress up, as well as how many students participate in the Links for Life fundraiser, which raises money for charity. Spirit Week is concluded with our spring pep rally, which also has events where students can earn points for their class, making it a really fun way to kick off the spring sports season. Also next week is the Distinguished Graduate presentation at the high school. The upperclassmen are looking forward to hearing from this year's speaker. There's a keynote speech to the entire group and a smaller, more interactive group presentation for students who are specifically interested in healthcare careers. Students from the music department are hosting an instrument drive this month, which will help provide instruments to music students who are in need. Specifically, the materials collected will be given to Jazz House kids. And lastly, the Glamour Gals Club is also hosting a makeup drive this week, where they will be collecting any unused makeup products, and these items will be donated to a domestic violence shelter. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing all the going-ons. Questions, comments from board members? Ms. Jones?
What testing are the upperclassmen having this week?
Sorry?
What testing are the
I think it's the NJGPA for the juniors.
The graduation test.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm always amazed at the amount of community service and things that are happening. I don't know if you mentioned, but I think this one in particular, the honors accounting class is, I think, 8 or 9 students. I don't know if you mentioned or not. I don't want to be redundant.
Yeah.
But they volunteered their time with a local, I want to make sure I get it right. It's called the Lighthouse Leaders of the Future Foundation, working with Liza and Carullo CPAs and advisors. And what they're doing, they're volunteering their time to help senior citizens and disabled folks and lower income folks get their income tax done. So not only are they helping, but they're also learning more about, a field they want to go into. So they're giving up, afternoons and Saturdays for that. And also, I believe, I just saw this today. I don't have all the information, but I should have seen it sooner. But we have our members of our choir, right? They're going to be singing in Carnegie Hall on Monday. So that's quite a high school choir. So that's quite an accomplishment. So again, there's almost too much going on to even keep track of it all and to stay on top of it all. But kudos to the students and the advisors and folks who get all this going, because it's a really good opportunity for kids. And thank you for reminding me of things I forget.
So you said there's the competition, grade level competition was the spring pep rally?
Yeah,
Is
so
that-
we have like Spirit Week next week.
Oh,
That's
Spirit
all
Week,
the
right.
like different categories they dress up, and then
Yep.
also the pep rally has like events, like different like relay races and stuff, and they can like earn points that way too. So it's
So my
fun.
question is, who's favored to win?
I mean, probably the seniors, but you never know.
I would like to say, not that it's not ever done fairly, but in my 35 years in the high school, I think the seniors won like 34 times. It just always seems to work that way.
Yeah.
And the one year they didn't win, of course, a whole different group of people ran Spirit Week the next. No, I'm kidding. The seniors are always favored, even when they're the underdogs.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Jones?
Have you chosen your college yet?
No, I haven't decided
You
yet.
haven't decided?
Still-
Well, let us know.
I will.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here and sharing all the happenings in our schools. You can feel free to stay for the rest of the meeting, and if you have other commitments, we understand.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Sarah.
night.
All right, so next we're going to have the preliminary budget presentation that Mr. Whitford's going to take us through. So tonight is the evening where, after this budget presentation, we'll be asked to approve the preliminary budget, and then that will be sent down to the state, to the county, and then it comes back to us. And assuming that's approved by the county, there's a public hearing for the budget and final approval at our next April 26th Board of Ed meeting. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Whitford and move out of the way.
I'll share the document with the board members after. But can you see it decently well from over there? Okay. So as Dr. Lai said, this is our 26-27 preliminary budget presentation. Rooted in all budget development is the board's annual goals. If it's a strategic plan for multiple years, or if it's year-by-year goals, if any BA says it's their budget, they're just selfishly speaking, we're just facilitators of the board's goals and objectives. So the board goals that, or a few of the board goals that this board approved earlier this year was anchored on student achievement, putting forth the portrait of a graduate and the other activities that K through 12 will do according to that. Building upon and maintaining our current programs, community outreach and the climate and culture surveys that Mr. Hurley was doing this year, and obviously providing facilities and improvements and maintenance throughout the district. There's a number of challenges that Rutherford is dealing with in addition to every other school district in the state. Health insurance premiums have gone up just over 50% in the past 3 years, which is a big driver of the budget. out-of-district tuition for special education students and the transportation to get those students to those facilities and services is also a high cost. Utilities and maintaining our buildings, and obviously just general cost increases that every member is also feeling with their own budgets. So a number of these aspects you'll see within our budget and how we've been able to handle it.
Mr. Whitford, if you could, I know the Finance Committee is very aware, and I think the number was 1.2 million, but what's the percentage of health, the dollar amount for the health increase, just so the public and the board hears it?
We're about $2.4 million in total health benefits increase costs.
So I was 2.3.
Yep. And our entire budget is about $60 million.
That's just the increase.
Increase, yep.
Right. So our total health costs for the district, this discounts what the employees are contributing, is over 11 million? Does that
Correct.
sound right?
Yep.
Yeah, over 11. So $11 million of a $60 million, rounding numbers off, budget is just to the board's contribution to health benefits.
Correct. So as we said, we're just over $60 million general operating budget. So the revenue comes from basically three main areas. The local tax levy is the most significant aspect of our budget, or where our revenue comes from. 89% of our general operating budget comes from our local tax levy, which is a nice aspect as a business administrator because it's a steady stream of revenue. We're not reliant on outside grants that may or may not be happening year over year. So having that local tax base be a significant aspect creates some stability for the district. State aid is about 7% of the annual operating budget, and then miscellaneous revenues and other reserves that the board already has supplements it with 4%. There's been some questions on federal aid over the past couple of years. Federal aid is outside of our general operating budget. So federal aid is more of a supplemental support to our budget for specific activities. It's not something that we use as our general operating and day-to-day things.
I think that's very important for everyone to remember that. Title I, Title II, Title III, those funds, they're important. I mean, we use them for professional development. We use them for academic interventions for students who may be at risk. But our day-to-day operations do not rely on federal funding at all. And as this year, we pretty much were whole. There was a little bit of a decrease in our title money. There hasn't been talk yet about next year. There's a lot of, real concerns. There's some, I think, hyperbolized concerns. But again, we would not impact our day-to-day operations with a reduction there. We would impact some of the things we do that are important and help faculty and staff and kids, but it's separate from the budget.
Was it always that way?
Yes.
Yeah, always that way.
Yes. And keep in mind that these title funds that we talk about existed prior to the creation of the Department of Education back during the Carter administration. They came through other, arms of the federal government. So again, even, when there was some talk about DOE on the federal level, maybe being disbanded, there was also talk that most of these monies would then channel back to the agencies they first came from.
In 2008, there was a School Funding Reform Act for the state of New Jersey that mandated a 2% cap on annual tax levy increases. So every school district in the state can increase their tax levy 2% higher than the prior year for their budgets. Within that law, there is a few number of aspects that allow to go outside of that 2% or above that 2%. The two bigger ones, the two ones that would be more applicable to Rutherford are if health benefits increases happen to be more than 2%, which they definitely have been over the past few years, or if enrollment increases went up beyond what the state sees our region as a normal increase. So if we were to have a 10% increase in enrollment, the state would allow us to increase our budget accordingly to serve those number of students. So we did not have an extreme enrollment increase from last year to this year, but we did have a big increase for health benefits. We are in the state health benefits plan, so the the way this adjustment works is if the state health benefits plan goes up above 2%, the 2% is eaten up in your normal increase, but anything above that, you can increase that specific health benefits line in your budget the same percentage that the plan goes up. State aid last year was $3.4 million in total. There's a couple categories within that for security, transportation, special education, and things like that. But in total, it was $3.4 million. This year, we saw a $172,000 increase, which was 5% of last year's state aid, for $3.57 million. The state set guardrails. They have not adjusted how they're calculating state aid for every school district, but they set guardrails that a school district could not get cut further below 3% from their prior year or above 6% than their prior year. So, in maybe 3, 4, or 5 years ago, school districts were getting cut 10% of their state aid than they previously had. And if they were very reliant on state aid, it was a significant impact to their budgets. But again, Rutherford has more of a tax levy base, so the volatility in state aid isn't as impactful. Obviously, we love to have more than what we're getting, and we definitely are on the high side of that this year. So I was glad to see that we were able to get that $172,000 in addition to last year.
Last year, we had, I think, about 1%.
1% last year.
1% increase.
Yes. No, it should be. Yes, it should be. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that may not. The fact about state aid is, getting the $172,000, especially this year, getting the bigger increase is very welcomed, very helpful in balancing the budget. To go back to Mr. Whitford's earlier comment, some districts have a much larger percentage of their budget coming from state aid. Ours is not that big. It also doesn't impact us greatly. If we don't get a big increase, it's very helpful if we do. So this helped us a lot this year, but it's not a major amount. In this slide, as Mr. Whitfield explained, shows you the percentage of state aid in terms of our budget.
So I was told this slide was in the budget presentation for decades before I got here. So I made sure I had to keep it in it the past 2 years that I've been here. I did cut it down to the past 10 years rather than keeping it for 20 or 25 past that. But you see the orange higher aspects of the bar graph are a general operating budget for the past 10 years. It has slowly increased, more so in the past 3 years, very specifically because of health benefits. The blue all the way toward the bottom is the state aid portion of that budget. You can see it's a very minimal portion of our budget. And then the line is aid as a percent of the budget, which I'm not sure why this is a little bit of an anomaly out here. But very steadily increase. Nothing dramatic has happened that our budgets have skyrocketed, and definitely state aid has not had too much volatility as well. The miscellaneous resources or surpluses and revenue streams that we saw on one of the other slides comes from excess surplus, which is surplus from last year that the state mandates you have to use in the next year. So if you get audited for year one, during year two's operating year, they're auditing year one. So they make you use that surplus once the audit is complete in year three. So this $812,000 is actually from the 24-25 school year's surplus that they audited a few months ago, and then they will carry that over to next year. We've done a little bit of new things with interest, being able to invest certain aspects in almost like a high yield savings account rather than the checking account that we use every day. Our finance committee has gone through that process in the past year. So we're able to have a little bit more interest than we have in the past. We do have a pretty successful Bulldog Care operation for our after-school programs, and that helps supplement the expenses for that program as well, right? We keep the lights on extra late because of the Bulldog Care Program. We have custodians do overtime, so they stay on site for the Bulldog Care Program. So a lot of these extra revenue streams go toward using money for that program. We are pulling $558,000 for our capital reserve from our capital reserve fund, primarily for a number of what I'm going to call behind the walls type of projects. They're not like the flashy projects that you might see walking through the building, but there are significant aspects of making sure our buildings run well. And I think one of our future slides, you'll see what the quick little breakdown is. And then we have a general fund balance, kind of like our rainy day fund, that we're pulling down $152,000 from. That's probably only maybe 5% of that rainy day fund, so that can easily be built back up again in next year. So the bigger slide is your local tax levy. From last year to this year, for our general operating budget, we increased it $3.4 million for a total tax levy of $53.5 million. And the tax levy is generated to support our regular operating budget, but also the debt service that was paid or has to be paid for your previously issued bonds. The 2005, I believe, referendum, and then most recently 2019 referendum. So those bond payments for those facilities improvements are paid over 20 or 30 years, and that payment schedule is laid out very clearly for the district. The roughly $50 million bond that was approved in 2019, a number of projects have been completed. Every project that was listed on that referendum question has been completed, and some, just to make sure that every aspect of the question that you asked the public to approve was indeed complete. And I'm going to say, because of the timing of pandemic and certain lower costs at the time when the district went out to bid, they got pretty good prices at the time, especially compared to now. So there was a number of cost savings that happened during the past 5 or 6 years, that if a project was budgeted for $1 million, maybe it came in at $800,000. So that $200,000 surplus sat there. And you multiply that over a number of projects, the board has just over $2 million in unused referendum funds that we've used for a number of the projects that were outlined. But now that we've completed all those tasks, you checked off the whole list of projects that you had, the board is able to give back that $2 million over the next 2 years to the taxpayers. So you asked to raise taxes for a certain dollar amount, you raised taxes for that amount, but completed all the projects with some wiggle room. Now that wiggle room, the district can't just take and put it in like a little slush fund for themselves. We have to be able to give it back to the taxpayers, which is a great thing to be able to ask for a certain dollar amount. Almost you're going to under promise and over deliver on that type of thing. So our general operating fund went up $3.4 million, but our debt service aspect of our tax levy is getting pulled back about $1.2 million because of the payment schedule and the $1.165 million that we're going to be able to give back to the taxpayers. So the net tax increase for Rutherford this year is 4.2%, which I believe is the exact number that we had last year as well.
I just want to make sure everybody is clear, because a lot of times numbers, get thrown around. With the allowable increase was 6.9. 6.9. Okay. That amount of money, that increase, doesn't even cover the entire $2+ million of the health benefit. So it was essential to take that. But in terms of the actual impact on the taxpayer, the 1.2 million approximately brings it down to 4.2. So the impact will be the same as last year. Just so you're aware, superintendents, we keep a running tally of what's going on in everybody's district, and a lot of folks, the governor's address was only last week, so a lot of folks are not ready yet to share, but 34 districts have shared and 33 of the 34 are using their full, well, I shouldn't say full, because I don't know exactly, but using their allowable increase. Some as high as 8.9%, because it is absolutely impossible. We would not have been able to maintain many programs. If you've read the Bergen Record, I think it was over the weekend, an article, I'll mention the district because it was in the paper, but I won't go into details, Westwood, talking about some massive layoffs. Matt and I spoke today, someone from another district who was talking about 30 to 40 layoffs in their district. We have managed to avoid that. Again, I don't want to get ahead of what may come up later, but we did with 2 maintenance positions that have retired, and we've had a hard time filling. We've removed one of them from the budget. With 2 custodial retirees in the evening, we're going to move to add some Aramark. So through attrition, we managed to remove a couple of positions that do not impact programs, do not impact students, and really don't impact the individuals because they have retired. And will not really impact our services because we'll be getting the 2 custodians at a better price for the board. And we've been functioning for the better part of this year down 2 maintenance positions, and we've now been able to fill 1, so we'll be ahead of where we were this past year. But these are the things that we've been working with the Finance Committee, with the administrators, with the Director of Building and Grounds, Director of Special Services, very diligently since probably October, November, to how are we going to make this thing work without damaging the quality of programs and education that we have. And obviously, the referendum, as Mr. Whitford described, the hard work and the good luck that we had to come in over, with over $2 million left is coming in handy right now when we're at this statewide crisis. And that's really what it is. That's not, I mentioned the word hyperbole. That's not hyperbole. It is a statewide crisis. I have not been to a meeting on the county or state level in the past, or the South Bergen level, in the past 6 months, that this has not been the major, and in some cases, the only topic of conversation. So I'm happy that we do not have to do anything drastic to get this budget balanced.
Once I share it with the board, you'll be able to see this slide a little bit better or clearer, but I'll at least describe the colors so you can see just in a pie chart.
I will say that on the printout, it looks like a pie. Here it looks more like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
So this is just where the $60 million goes in broad categories. What you don't see here is that health benefits and salaries for the district is just over 75% of the district's budget. So the staff member salaries and the benefits for the staff members takes up just over 2/3 of the district's budget. The more, I'm going to say, yellowy one on the top left, that's your health benefits. 22% of our budget goes strictly to health benefits for staff members. So that's a significant aspect. Buildings and grounds is this brown section to the left. Buildings, grounds, and transportation is about 12%. The pink area on the bottom right, that's out-of-district tuition and related services. That's a big 14% chunk. And then regular programs and instruction is at 29%, which is the larger top right green or dark yellow section on the top. So there's it just shows a breakdown of it, but I want to show the more visuals of where the money, large chunks are going. Out of district services, obviously our buildings and grounds, employee benefits, and then as much as possible to the instructional aspect of the district to the students.
And the salaries are infused in those areas, right? The 2 things I'd like to point out, not for any reason other than to say these are 2 things that the state has significant involvement in and control of: the health benefits and special education costs. And when you put those 2 together, 36% of our $60 million plus budget goes to those two areas. And, the state, underfunds, doesn't match what they say they're going to give you for special education. There are districts, I've already spoken with, not districts, out-of-district schools where tuitions are going up much higher than anything that even comes close to 2%. And even some of the public ones are talking about going up higher. So it is a problem that I think needs more discussion in Trenton about what's going to happen with schools and municipalities that are getting squeezed very hard by these astronomically rising costs. I mean, 30%, we're budgeting, 27% for health benefits and hoping that we didn't under budget. Because at 30%, even with the allowable increase, we would not be able to balance the budget. So the brokers are saying, well, 25 to 30, get as close to 30 as you can. So we're going to split the middle and hope that we're okay. So, we can't control this. I know my association, I saw a draft today of a letter that's going to go and talk about the need for dialogue, right? I mean, let's have conversations about it. Let's come up and let's put a lot of smart people in a room that could talk about this and see if there's a way to help, because it really is impacting what we can do locally, statewide, and this is not a one-off. It's not a bad year. This has been rapidly increasing, and the good news may be that the current health benefit law for the state plan is going to sunset in 2 years. Maybe it'll be better, but the bad news could be maybe it won't be better. So, I think the time is right for some serious conversations. I know New Jersey School Board Association has been talking about it, the BA's Association, the superintendents. I think I've been talking to our REA presidents about it because I think, let's be politically savvy. NJEA is a much larger and more powerful political lobby than any of these other groups I'm talking about. But we have to really push for a solution, because I don't know how many years you could keep patching to get by before the patches don't hold anymore. So again, kudos to, finance, Matt, his staff, all the principals, the administrators who work on this budget, and the community that supports what we're doing. But it's coming to a point where something's got to happen. Outside of our little world, something's got to happen.
And just to put some definitions to when we say out-of-district placements is a significant portion. These are for students classified as special needs through their IEPs. Their specialized programs might not be always available within our district. So then obviously we have to still educate those students according to their IEPs. Other providers like South Bergen Joint Commission, other public schools, and private schools for students with disabilities are other facilities that we can send these students to get the proper services that they need. South Bergen, really it's in order of where we try to send the students. South Bergen Joint Commission is usually a little bit of a lower cost because it's more localized. It is a public school. Other public schools might have a different service or a different specialization that we don't have just because of the number of students that they can serve. Maybe we only have 2 or 3 that need a certain service, but they have 25, so that we can kind of have a shared service and send them to the other public schools. And then others need a much more specialized service, and they'll go to private schools for students with disabilities. So just a quick definition of for that aspect. Facilities needs, we said we were taking just over $500,000 out of our capital reserve. Again, these, I'm saying, go the hidden improvements or hidden repairs behind the walls for HVAC and boiler repairs, plumbing and gutter repairs, roofing and gutter repairs. We have a $100,000 slotted for playground improvements, and then a state mandates that we provide them with a $75,000 basically fee for some of the other services they provide. Lastly, one of the things that we do, and many other districts, is trying to use lease purchase agreements. The Chromebooks that students use, the MacBooks that teachers use, and other facilities updates and other equipment that we use can be financed basically at a lower cost. We have to bid out for a financing rate, which is usually much more advantageous than going to like a local bank or something like that. But to be able to spread that cost over multiple years, most of our Chromebooks are 2, 3, 4-year lease deals that once it comes due, that technology is almost out of date. So that money is embedded into the budget at a lower cost, but you're just refreshing them over and over as the product becomes a little bit more obsolete. So it's just another mechanism that districts use to be more creative to be able to take on some of the costs that are needed. And then lastly, our budget calendar. The budget isn't created, last week. Me and Mr. Hurley didn't get together and just throw some numbers on a board and saw what stuck. Back from September, October, November, we start talking about today and next year's budget with our administrative staff, other BAs and other superintendents, other boards, that what they see or what they see trends are happening. December, the buildings and departments are actually get an allocation, and then they submit their budgets or requests of what they need. January and February come, we meet with the committees, meaning Buildings and Grounds Committee and our Finance Committee, to review those and kind of, at least on a preliminary basis, see where we are and how sharp we have to make our pencils for the next coming weeks. And then tonight, March 16th, the board is asked to approve a preliminary budget that gets sent to the County Department of Education. They're really reviewing it for compliance purposes, to make sure that we're still meeting statute and code for the Department of Ed. They'll call me and ask questions on certain things and make sure things are clarified to their liking. Once it is, that dollar amount shouldn't change for what we're going to approve tonight. And then a very similar budget hearing comes in late April, and the board adopts that final budget. That's all I have.
It's just two other quick comments. What Mr. Whitford's done and working with all of us is try to look at, ways to raise some revenue. That interest that he talked about, that's money we didn't bring in other years. Looking at, tightening up some areas where we could get more revenue, but our ability to get more revenue in is difficult. I met on last week with about 5 of my colleagues in the South Bergen area to talk about the potential for shared services. Is there a way that one district might be able to have an electrician work in a couple of districts where maybe somebody else has a bus that somebody can use, try to help each other out. It was interesting that when the governor gave her address 3 or 4 days after we met, she talked about some of that, in terms of, when I said, there's things that we can't control, we're doing what we can to control what we can control. But big picture items, I'm still talking about, nickels and dimes in $60 million. But all those nickels and dimes, do help. I don't know if anybody, has questions of Matt or me or anybody from the Finance Committee.
Mr. Sprayberry?
How are we planning on communicating the give back to the community from the referendum? I think that's important.
Well, in theory, this is part of it. The budget hearing will be part of it. I think we could. I don't want to do it ahead of the budget hearing, or ahead of what I'm about to say, or ahead of the budget actually being approved both locally and on the county level. But I think in our final newsletter in June, we could put that out. If people are paying attention to this board meeting and the next board meeting, they should be hearing about it. But I think, once everything's approved and we're off and running, getting close to the next fiscal year, that last newsletter that goes out. And remember, two go out in June. One's the mailer that goes to everybody in the borough, and one's the digital that goes just to the school community. And we could put something in both, just a statement, because I think that is, something that offsets. Look, we'd be having a different conversation, but we still have to be having the conversation about needing that full allowable increase. This makes it more meaningful, maybe less impactful, but it also makes what we say about our commitment to try to do the best we can to get the most out of every dollar we have, that we, through this referendum process, we did that as well, and we're able to come back with over $2 million of relief.
Yeah, I think it's important, like, if you didn't communicate to put out the 6 point, whatever, the 6 point was the allowable, we only used 4.2 of it.
Yeah.
I think that's, to show the community, because we talked about one of our goals being community involvement,
Right.
communication.
Yeah, well, the slide presentation, I think, didn't mention 6.9. I just did that with my, my comment, because it is 4.2. But I want people to see that what our diligence from the 2019 to a year ago when we finished has paid dividends for us in terms of real dollars now. Yeah. But yeah, we'll get where. And I've always said to all of you that that when people come up and they ask you a question as a board member, you direct them to me or you direct them to the appropriate person. But certainly in conversations, that's a fact you could give them as well. I think that's an important fact to understand. The largest increase that we have faced, I think percentage-wise and dollar-wise, we're having the same tax impact as we had last year.
Is it worth, well, first of all, I think also signaling to people who ask questions to tell them to watch the video from this meeting is important, because there's a lot of detail that you put into both the presentation and also your comments. I don't know if it's worth, on social media saying that at our last board meeting, we had our preliminary budget meeting, or it's really important, people check that out. April is when we have our budget hearing, so just for people to be aware of those things that are happening, because otherwise, I don't know how many people are watching
Right.
the video
Well,
and pushing to the side.
Well, prior to the April hearing, we could put some message out about, budget hearing for detailed information about the budget. Look at the video from,
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Will this presentation be online with this video?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, are you going to try to send it electronically to?
Every board member has it right
No,
now.
no, to Jenny.
I can.
Yeah, Jenny, we know what we're going to do. What's this called? I'm not a television director. We're breaking the which wall now, because we're the fourth wall. Okay, right. Jenny, if we send you this presentation, in the past we've been able to embed it into the video, so that they don't just see it on that screen; they actually see it. So
Yes, I can do like a split.
yeah. So Matt, he'll send it to you. But we were able in the past to actually show it and have the voice over it, and looking at the presentation instead of looking at me is always a benefit. Yeah.
Great.
Any other questions or comments?
And just to be clear, this referendum give back that's in the budget, that's, countering the total increase, that's half of it, right?
Half,
So
approximately.
the
right.
other half would be next year going to the following year.
Approximately half.
The health benefits increase?
No,
The-
the give back, the
The
referendum.
referendum.
So the referendum was just over $2 million of give back money. You're able to supplement the principal portion of the bond payment for that bond. So it's 1.165 million. So this year we'll have 1.65. Next year you're going to have about 900,000 of the 1.65. So a significant portion of that payment, but only about 900,000 of that
So a
payment.
little less next year.
Yep.
Okay. But still, a significant amount.
Yep.
Another thing I want to mention while we're on budget topic is, in meeting with strategic planning last week, last week, right? We had the meeting, and we talked about, maybe at some point rather than a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet meeting, a face-to-face meeting, to talk a little bit about some long-term financial discussions, planning, and then, take that discussion to the Finance Committee. It's very hard to say, you're going to project exactly what may happen in 3 to 5 years. But there are things that you do know in terms of, you have a projection of enrollment. We talked about maybe looking for a new demographic study just to see if our projections from the past are still accurate. We have a projection of, there hasn't been any serious talk about the cap changing, so we could work on the premise as not. We could look at state aid over the years and say, well, here's kind of a range, of where it goes. So, we can have some sense of money and then start having some ideas about, how we're going to handle all that. What are we going to do about it? Because, what we don't want to have happen one year is get into a situation I think some folks find themselves in where they're not really paying attention or reading the tea leaves, and now you get into January or February, and you're like, whoa.
Do we need that anymore?
You know?
Do we need that anymore?
So,
I mean, I know we talked about this at Finance Committee. I think it's a great idea to do like a 3 or 5 year, look out, build in some assumptions. I mean, it benefits and salaries.
Right.
Salaries are known up through the life of the 3-year contracts for the different units.
right,
I mean, that's 70% of your expenses right there.
right. So, yeah, I mean, we could do a fair projection, and then you're a little more prepared for the variables that you can't project, right? I think there's, and we've done that, but I think we have to do it with a little more oomph,
Hmm?
So
Mr.
have
Bogosian.
The prior demographic studies, have we actually looked at like where we are now versus what those studies said
They
and
were
how
pretty,
far off we are?
the last time I looked, and that, to be honest, probably was over a year ago, it was pretty close.
In the presentation, would it make sense to put down there, it says total school tax increase and versus the total allowable tax increase? For me, it's the public
Yes.
perception of,
I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Very cautious there, because we are taking the total allowable, it's just that that number would have been a lot, the 4.2 would have been higher had we not had that survey.
Right,
We're taking the total, but it's being offset by the referendum give back.
I mean, I don't have a problem either way. I think, this is what we're taking, but this is what's going to hit you for.
Yeah, and in practice, people are going to hear other districts are going up 6, 7, 8% and they're going to see that we're at 4.2. We're going to be very unique in here.
And I think it still speaks to fiscal responsibilities. We're looking at the overall number, and all the variables. So if we didn't have the referendum give back, would we have made the exact same decision in all these areas? Maybe, maybe not.
Right. It would have been, you're right, it would have been very challenging not to, but the fact is, I've said this before, we don't have any fat. We really don't. I mean, I can't point to a program where I could say, we could eliminate that. We really don't. So, I mean, you're looking at really hard decisions if you don't have the wherewithal to say we're going to take what they're allowing us to take because of exorbitantly high. I mean, when you look at whatever 2% is, what's 2% of our?
Just over $1 million.
What? 1
Just
million?
over $1 million.
About a little over $1 million, and you're doubling that just in one area. Before you get to tuition and salaries and supplies and books and heating and utilities, doubling your increase in one area. So, I that's why I'm saying, there's got to be a push outside of here, outside of these boroughs in Bergen County. Like, what are we going to do about this? If we expect the education that we're giving our children to be what it has been, there's got to be a statewide discussion about what we're going to do about this. So we'll see.
Because it's interesting, because when we went to the state plan for educators' benefits, that was supposed to drive down costs, correct?
Yeah, that's what they said, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's going to sunset in 2 years, and we might be in a worse predicament.
Right.
Across the state. It's not only us, it's across the whole entire state of New Jersey.
Right.
So how are we going to we can't absorb any of these costs. So what is the solution or the chatter amongst superintendents?
Yeah, well, nobody seems to have one, you know? I mean, the solution, I think the solution is, I think what people are looking to do is circle the wagons the best they can, shared services. But I think there's been a bigger push now to lobby and reach out, you know, and put pressure on folks who, you know, to your point, legislation comes in 2 years. We don't know what that legislation is going to say about health benefits.
Right. I mean, there are some districts, like my district, that we had the option to either take the state plan or still take, say, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield. We're still paying a percentage of that.
Right.
So I don't know if they're going to phase every employee out of that
Right.
to take the state plan. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Mhm. No,
And
it's,
even if that happens, like, what is the savings across the state for benefits?
yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Matt, you have any?
Dr. Racine?
So we are in the state plan. I mean, the state runs the health insurance program that we're in. Even if you're in like that Direct 10, Direct 15, that's still the state health benefits plan. The past 2 years that I've been here, we've attempted to go out to bid directly to Horizon and Aetna and AmeriHealth and other school health insurance funds like a SHIF that might have 80 school districts together to pool to drive costs down. Because usually if you're in a large pool like the state health benefits plan, costs can be lowered because if you're a little high and your neighbor's a little bit lower, you both will kind of get the average. A number of districts over the past 10 years have done that. They've sought out alternatives to the state plan because of costs, even 5-10 years ago. And they've gotten it because their pool, their population's claims were not very high. Our claims are not getting picked up by outside providers, directly from Horizon or directly from AmeriHealth or Aetna or things like that. So those insurance companies are saying, if we take you on, the insurance company is not going to make enough money off of us. So as crazy as it sounds, right now the best place for us to be is in the state health benefits plan.
And again, we're not unique there either. We've talked to a lot of districts who are trying to get out. It's not that we're trying to get out. We're trying to see where we get the best deal.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get this, what do they call it, the rating, what's the term for it?
Our claims numbers.
Claim rate. And because our numbers aren't good enough, they're not going to take us on. Or they're going to take us on, but we're not going to do any better financially.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's a problem. I mean, it's a problem that we don't have I can't offer you a solution. I don't know what the solution is. I think the process, though, is there's got to be more serious discussion about it with people who can maybe come up with a solution. I mean, I'll give you one solution. They're not going to, you know, there's 2% cap since 2011. I don't know, 3%, 4% would be nice. That $1 million increase becomes a $2 million increase, and in a lot of years, you're not having a problem. I mean, I don't know too many other things that have stayed the same. Salaries have not stayed the same, and bills have not stayed the same since 2011. Taxes haven't stayed the same since 2011, but the cap on the schools have stayed the same. So, and we incur the same costs everybody does when we go out to buy something and pay a salary. So, I mean, there's been no discussion about that. There was a little bit of it, right, last year.
Mm-hmm.
We heard rumors that they were going to, and it died out pretty quickly. But, I mean, to me, there's got to be at least some movement to help districts. That could be a little bit of movement, increase the cap.
Dr. Racine and then Ms. Reilly?
So on a positive note, like I know this is not sustainable, right? And there are other districts that are actually talking right now about cuts or they're failing, right? The fact that we're not, I just want to say, is a testimony to what you guys have been doing and the strengths of our faculty and staff. And even when you have negotiations, everything, everybody's on the same page and moving forward. And that strengths in the past is showing now that we're not sitting here talking about what to cut and that we're in a hole for 10% of our budget.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, that's something, I mean, I'm never going to say, I used to say I never want to do it. I can't say that anymore. Who knows, right? But it's, to me, like I said, when you don't have programs that you say are undersubscribed, right? Kids aren't taking the class. Kids aren't going out for the team. Whatever the case may be, right? People are not moving into town. Yeah, you could make those cuts, But when you're taking kids and displacing them and not giving them an opportunity, that's not what we're here for.
You might have said this, when will we know about the health insurance increment? We're budgeting a fair number, but when does that really firm up? Did you say August?
Officially, it comes out in either October or November each year.
October.
Yeah, by January it kicks in.
Yeah, January is effective, but by October, November, you'll know the actual impact.
So, if it comes in lower, then we have some money that we could either, reallocate where needed, or it builds that surplus in capital reserve for the next year. If it comes in higher, you may have to, there comes a point in every year where we say, encumbered money that you need, no more spending, that may have to come a little sooner, right?
Yep.
We had the discussion about, where to go, right? And we were going to hold our breath and go at 25%, but the increase in the state aid allowed us to go 27%, which is a little more comfort.
Other questions, comments? Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Matt. It's been a good budget presentation and your last one for us,
Thank you.
but thank you for all that you've done.
Yeah, I want to echo that. The Finance Committee meetings were not necessarily the typical meetings, and really a lot of creative work done. Avoiding as much as possible the 2 Ps, personnel and programs, is, a real testament to the commitment of, trying to figure out how to be creative and do the right thing. So appreciate you bringing that up. All right. So hearing no more questions, we're going to move on to the report of the superintendent.
Not much, tonight we're really focused on the budget. I mentioned a few things earlier in the student report. I do want to mention a couple of quick things. A newsletter for borough-wide should be going out, the 4-pager that gets mailed, hopefully the end of March, and the digital one for this time of year going out, hopefully before break, mid-April. March 25th at the high school, Distinguished Graduate Award, something we do every 2 to 3 years. I did send to you in the packet the list of past winners. If you're not familiar with that list, take a look at it. There are some really unbelievably outstanding people. The list doesn't do it justice when it says, Peggy Noonan is a writer. She was a writer for President Reagan, President Bush. We have people that were involved in the creation of the Hubble. We have people that have been involved in, winning Golden Globe awards. We have a whole slew of very great people that have come through this building in this town. And the real purpose of the program is they meet with kids. They'll do a seminar in a class with whatever their level of expertise is, and then they'll do an assembly for the larger group, and the kids get to see potential and things they could go for. This year is Dr. Elizabeth Robinson Henry from the class of 1984, a former student of mine, and despite that, she did great things in her future and her present. A pediatrician, a speaker, an author, a lecturer, several books. So she'll be someone. Again, she'll be working with some of our science classes, biology classes, health students, things like that. And our K-Center enrollment, we're at about 96 right now for next year, which is about where we normally are this time of year in terms of registration. And I mentioned that state testing is beginning just for the graduation test this week in the high school. The test grades 3 through 10 will be late April into early May. Okay, and that's it for tonight.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hurley? Hearing none, we'll go on to the report of the president. Don't really have anything to report this evening. Just wanted to thank board members for all your work on the different committees. Takes a lot of strategic time and planning. So, and especially when we have board members who are so committed that they're willing to take a call from their car and set aside coaching for 30 minutes. So super commitment. So, but that's it for my report. So at 8 p.m., we're going to open the meeting to the public for anything related to the agenda this evening. Seeing no comments, we're going to close the meeting at 8 p.m. and we're going to move on to new business where there is action to be taken. We'll start with personnel. Mrs. Cole.
Good evening. Personnel, we did meet on March 9th via Google Meet. The following 14 motions are to be put forward tonight at the recommendation of the superintendent.
All right, thank you. And we have a second on those. Mr. Conti. Discussion questions.
Just for clarification, Mr. Garcia was approved, his retirement was approved last meeting for July 1, June 30th. He's moving it up to now April 30th, May 1st, effective date. And Mr. Marin, who is going to be the new head custodian at Washington, will start him on May 1 instead of on July 1. So that's just changing from what was on the last agenda due to Mr. Garcia's request to retire a month earlier.
And I'll just state the obvious. Obviously, we're sad to see Mr. Whitford go, and of course, wish you the best. At the same time, really pleased to see Mr. Joe Kelly will be coming aboard as a business consultant, effective on March 30th. I think it's a real testament to the strength of relationships over time and some good work done that he's willing to come back and step in this time.
And to that point, I'm waiting to hear back from the county. They have to approve superintendents or BA's contracts, even for an interim. Hopefully that will get back so that at the April 5th, 6th, whatever the date is, next meeting, we could have them approved as the interim. But for the transitional period, I thank Joe's willingness and the board's willingness to have him come on board to, get back up on the horse again.
There's a lot of talk that I had big shoes to fill when Joe was leaving and I was coming in. So I'm glad those shoes are still right there, that you can just slide right back into them. And we can have a transitional period together for a few days to pass off. So,
Excellent. All right. Any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian,
Yes.
Ms. Cates,
Yes.
Ms. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Dr. Racine,
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry,
Yes.
Dr. Lottie.
Yes.
Motion's carry.
Thank you. We'll go on now to curriculum and instruction. Ms. Jones?
Thank you. We did not have a CNI meeting, and tonight there are 6 motions which are put forward at the recommendation of the superintendent.
All right, thank you. So Ms. Jones put those forward. Do we have a second? Mr. Bogosian? Questions or comments about curriculum and instruction? Hearing none, Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian,
Yes.
Ms. Cates,
Yes.
Ms. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Dr. Racine,
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry,
Yes.
Dr. Lottie.
Yes.
Motion's carry.
All right, thank you. We'll go on now to finance. Mr. Bogosian?
Good evening. We did not have a finance committee meeting since our last full board meeting. Tonight on the agenda, we have 7 motions to consider under finance. I'd like to move motions 1 through 7 under finance.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second on that? Mr. Sprayberry? Questions or comments from board members? Can you just describe the semi-corrective action plan number 7?
Yeah, Matt, do you want me to do that? Or do you want?
So SEMI is Special Education Medicare Initiative. To be very honest, this is something that the majority of school districts in the state of New Jersey have a corrective action plan for every single year. Rutherford has also had it for the past at least 5+ years. They historically put what I'm going to call an unattainable amount that we should be getting reimbursed for, maybe say $50,000, and we usually hit about half of that. This year, they've reduced that goal about 90% for the districts of the state. So instead of $50,000, it's now $5,000. And that's something that a lot of districts can attain through their reimbursement process for certain medical special education reimbursements. So I'm thinking this time next year, you're not going to have that corrective action plan because basically the target has gotten lowered for a number of districts to be able to attain it because a lot of districts were in this boat that they weren't able to get the certain qualifications or requirements to meet the goal that the state set for special education Medicare initiative. Certain services that we provide to special ed students qualify for Medicare. The district can't seek that out and the student can't seek it out, but we can get it from the state if we ask for a reimbursement.
Other questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Ms. Cates?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry?
Yes.
Dr. Alati?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. We'll go on now to policy. Mr. Healy.
Yes, we did not have a policy committee meeting since our last board meeting, but we did correspond with the administration regarding questions and received responses. There's one resolution as listed being put forth tonight as a first reading.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Healy. We have a second on that one. Ms. Cole, questions or comments? All right. Hearing none. Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Ms. Cates?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry?
Yes.
Dr. Alati?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
All right. Thank you. We'll go on now to buildings and grounds. Mr. Sprayberry.
Good evening. We did not have a Buildings and Grounds Committee, but and I do want to say before I put this forth for motion, the next person that comes in, Mr. Whitford, will have big shoes to fill as well.
Thanks.
We have one motion to put forth at the recommendation of the superintendent.
All right. Thank you. Do we have a second on that? Mr. Bogosian? Questions or comments?
This project is actually the last of the referendum projects. So this resolution fully completes the referendum and officially gives back that $2 million or so to be able to give back. This was unused allowance, so that pool of money actually went up $62,000 because of this last resolution.
All right. Thank you. Questions from board members? All right. Hearing none. Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Ms. Cates?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry?
Yes.
Dr. Alati?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. We'll move on now to old business. Any old business to share?
I just
Ms. Gates?
I want to ask Mr. Hurley, because I saw in the presentation there was the $100,000 for the playground construction, and I wanted to know if you ever corresponded with that woman that was here
Yeah, I
last
did,
week.
and I also talked to the vendor, and I will give a report of what we have in it and what the impact of some of the things that she asked for would have on the project. Right now, we're not in the development stage. We'll be probably in the next couple of weeks. I'll share that with you.
Okay.
But I did hear from the woman that was here, and I did take her information and met with the guy who designs the playground.
Thank you.
Others? Ms. Jones?
Well, we talked about the play, but let me just say, it was unbelievably great. I was so proud of those students. They're singing, they're dancing, the whole thing was just great. I did go to the Washington School PTA meeting, and while we're talking about playgrounds, the Washington School PTA raised $39,000 towards building a new playground. We have budgeted to raise an additional $15,000 to the Apex Fun Run, which will be held later this month. So that's their contribution.
About 55,000, yeah.
I'm sorry?
About 55,000.
Right. Which is a help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their playground is what they had in 2005. Lincoln School had the fire, so they had gotten another one, but that's the original one.
That's over
Yeah.
20 years old.
What else? No, I guess that's it for old business.
All right. Mr. Healy?
wife and I had the opportunity to do Read Across America at Lincoln School this year. We did the pre-K 3 class. I can't believe how small. But it was wonderful, and it's very rewarding to do, so thank you. Also, I attended the PTA, Pierpont PTA meeting on March 11th, and they went over their past activities. And there was one question from a parent or a couple of parents about, on the grounds, putting basketball courts on the Pierpont, but that
At
discussion
Pierpont?
was, yeah.
Well, they have baskets that they bring out, portable baskets.
Mhm.
There's a lot of, like I said, we'll look into things.
Well, it was that was the answer.
Yeah.
Mrs. Carrion was there, and Mr. Howell, so they heard it. But they talked about the spring activities, and everybody was very happy to hear that. So it was a good meeting.
I'm super impressed that you read to 3-year-olds, pre-K 3s. I mean, that could be like the Wild Wild West. I mean, that's,
No, it wasn't there. So
it's there. Yeah,
Miss D, who's now Mrs. B, she's well in hand. Everything is in order.
awesome. Yeah, I had a chance to read at Washington School, first grade. It was super fun.
So did I.
Did
First
you?
grade, yeah.
Nice. Last week?
2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
yeah.
I did too, first grade.
Yeah, they had very interesting questions afterwards. I was very impressed
My,
with the
my,
class.
my favorite part was the student that walked me to the class. She
Oh,
gave
me too.
She gave me a tour, though. She said, "That's a classroom." She told me, "This is a bathroom for the adults." She was giving me a tour of the building, which was great. That's great.
Yeah, my tour guide, I thought we were going upstairs, and she's like, no, we're downstairs. We're all downstairs over here. And telling me around, they gave me a certificate, they gave me a goodie bag. It was, yeah, it was well taken care of.
Washington School gave out Swedish fish.
Swedish fish.
Yep.
It was
Yes,
really
that's
good.
what I got.
Yeah. One more thing, just because it was funny. I usually read to the 2nd or 3rd grade because I like to do an Irish story, and I put on my green cape and, bring my original shillelagh, which is about 160 years old. And the kids called it my cool cane. They wrote me a little note for the 2nd grade class, which was really, and maybe 7 or 8 of them referred to it as my cool cane.
I will give one piece of advice because I got an envelope that had all these thank you notes that were written. Do not take out 1 or 2 thank you notes to recognize them unless you're okay with the other 20 saying, hey, can you find mine? It was something. It was like an extra 2 minutes. Any other old business? Mr. Conti?
I've recently had the great pleasure as a coach. I've been signing players who've come and volunteered for honor roll hours, for service hours. So we've had a number of players come through who volunteer to help coach kindergarten through 3rd grade, and so
Nice.
It's just been great having these guys come in. It's specifically the boys lacrosse team. A bunch of players from that juniors came over, and it was great to talk to them about
Right.
the service that they've done. So,
Nice. Awesome. Any other old business? All right, hearing none. Legislative update, Ms. Jones?
One only because it was timely after what we had. This is S3920, which was just introduced on March 12th. Requires a school calendar to provide certain day, they want 3 days actually, for inclement weather. Obviously, some schools don't plan that in their calendar, and so then they want to do that. You don't?
No, it gets added onto the end of the school year.
No, I thought all schools did that, so that's interesting. No, I'm learning something.
All right, thank you. At 8:14 p.m., we're going to open the meeting to the public for anything related to or not related to the agenda. You sure? All right. Seeing no comments at 8:14 p.m., we're going to close the meeting to the public We do have a need to go into executive session. We have 3 student matters, no action to be taken, about 5 minutes out. Need a motion. James Sprayberry's motioned us to go into executive session, seconded by Mr. Conti. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you.